I have a video here of an atheist from Maldives who challenges Dr. Zakir Naik at a conference back in 2010. His name is Muhammad Nazim. He announced he was struggling to believe in any religion and did not consider himself a Muslim. Reportedly, after this, he was arrested and put into protective custody by the police. He later reverted to Islam in custody after receiving 2 days of counseling from Islamic scholars, but was waiting for possible charges. This is your friendly neighborhood ex-Muslim Abdullah Samir here. Let's hear what happened. Nazim further asked what his verdict would be under Islam and in the Maldives. After this discussion, Muhammad Nazim was reported to have been arrested and put into protective custody by the Maldivian police. He later publicly reverted to Islam in custody after receiving 2 days of counseling by 2 Islamic scholars, but was held awaiting possible charges. What an awful situation. Even for questioning, you can be threatened and put into jail. As you can see, you are not allowed to be openly atheist in Maldives. But he was smart to come back to Islam publicly. Why ruin your entire life if the situation is such that there's little gain to be made by openly leaving Islam? I think many who left Islam publicly in Muslim countries honestly wish they could take back the announcement. But there's no such undo. Let's watch the conversation.
Dr. Zakir Naik, I'm a Maldivian. I'm still struggling to believe in religion. That's why I just came to the front of this row. I was born a Maldivian. My parents taught me the religion Islam. They are good practitioners actually. I have read a lot of books. I have read the translation of Quran, yet I still don't believe in a religion. So what do you say is my verdict in Islam? Because Maldives is definitely a Muslim state.
The brother posed the question. He's a Maldivian, born to a religious family who are Muslims. He read books on Islam, he read the Quran, but doesn't believe in religion. What is his status? So you have to go and ask the government. Well, the government tells me 100% Muslim. Now you say one non-Muslim is there. If you don't believe in religion, what? Don't you believe in Islam or don't believe in religion? Means you don't believe in Islam. That means you're not a Muslim.
No.
You're not a Muslim.
I am not.
So then you have to go and ask the Maldivian government, I'm not a Muslim, what should we do? I don't know whether they'll take away your nationality or not.
First veiled threat already. Zakir Naik is insinuating that his freedoms and rights should be taken away. The Constitution of the Maldives designates Islam as the official state religion, and the government and many citizens at all levels interpret this provision to impose the requirement that all citizens must be Muslim. The Constitution states the president must be a Sunni Muslim. There is no freedom of religion or belief. This situation leads to institutionally sanctioned religious oppression against non-Muslims and ex-Muslims who currently reside in the country.
To know your opinion about apostasy, does that come on me, or do you think that I was a Muslim because I just was born to Muslim parents, and because Maldives is a 100% Muslim state? Sorry, I don't want to say 100%, a Muslim state.
100% minus 1.
Whatever.
I pose the question, what is the state in Islam or apostasy? Since I was born as a Muslim. See, Quran, our beloved Prophet Muhammad said that every child is born as a Muslim. Muslim means person who submits his will to God. Person who submits his will to God is called as a Muslim. Later on is influenced by his teachers, by his parents, and then he may deviate, do idol worship, do fire worship. Therefore, when a person, a non-Muslim, becomes a Muslim, the more appropriate word is revert rather than convert.
100% minus 1. Good one. You think there's only one non-Muslim. But of course, there's many more who are nominal or agnostic or even ex-Muslim. I know many Maldivian ex-Muslims, including this lady Ufa, who has a channel. I also made a video on Rustum Russo, who got arrested after he complained to police about threats he received in the Maldives. So if you get threatened for criticizing Islam, you can't even count on the police there. You can't count on anybody. You should follow Muju Naeem, who is orchestrating secular Maldives. Please support him however you can. As you can see, apostates are bubbling up. Slowly but surely they are coming out. And this whole thing about people being born Muslim is such nonsense. Nobody is born believing Allah is God and Muhammad is a messenger. When we look at humanity, we see a variety of beliefs, from polytheism, spirit worship, ancestor worship, and of course monotheism, which actually seems to have come later. The Yahweh of the Bible, who became Allah of the Quran, is really just one of the gods of the Bible, who eventually became the only God of the Jewish people. He is a God who is a jealous God. He demands worship of him alone.
As far as Islam about apostasy, that you are talking about death penalty. Are you talking about death penalty?
Verdict for apostasy is...
What is the verdict? Now I'm asking you, what is your knowledge? You have read books on Islam. What is your verdict?
As far as I know, it is death.
So why don't you go and say that?
What a disgusting grin. What was he about to say? Why didn't you go kill yourself? So smug. It all comes out. What is he not saying? Why didn't you go die? What is there to smile about? Isn't this a serious topic? Should I be killed for leaving Islam? This is something you laugh and smile about? Instead of encouraging this man, all you've done is push him further away.
The problem is knowledge of Islam is weak. What you have done, brother, you have read wrong books on Islam. Now because you read wrong books on Islam, therefore we have deviated from Islam. So my request to you is, read correct books about Islam. Inshallah you will come back to Islam. So my request for you is, you may be saying your parents are... So what you are doing is you are rejecting the wrong Islam. And even I reject wrong Islam. So you have read wrong books, maybe you read Western books, maybe you read books on Islam that are criticizing Islam, and you got so much influenced. You say your parents are religious, maybe they are, I don't know. But if you have been influenced by the wrong practice of Islam, that's the reason you're rejecting wrong Islam. What I want you to tell me, in this talk of mine, I will come to your answer. About apostasy, I'll come to it. I'm not running away from the answer. I'm asking you, in this talk of mine, what did you find what was illogical?
About trying to convince a robber that there is life after?
Yes? What happened? Was right or wrong?
I don't think you can convince him.
No, you tell me one thing, then why robbing is bad? Can you give me a reason without life after death? Can you prove to a robber who's intelligent, who's logical, and says why it is bad for him? He's not talking bad for others. He's saying prove to you should prove to him why it is bad for me if I am a robber. Without life after that, you cannot prove at all. Give me one reason.
Actually, I'm pretty sure the robber knows what he's doing is wrong. If he doesn't know, you can't convince him even with believing in life after death, because you haven't convinced him about anything. You've just threatened him with an otherworldly punishment. Islam doesn't stop people from committing sins. Why do you think the Quran legislates chopping off the hand of thieves? If it was enough to say, you'll be judged by Allah, then you wouldn't need worldly punishment. Even besides that, Allah forgives all sins except shirk. All the way from the time of Muhammad, Muslims were stealing, committing zina and all the rest. You think Muslims don't do these things? Many of them do all these bad things and then do tawbah after. All Muslims get to go to paradise eventually, so really it's a sort of get out of jail card in a sense, for Muslims of course. People don't steal because of two reasons. Number one, altruism. We evolved to help each other. Do you need to believe in a hereafter to help your neighbor's drowning son? Would you kill your neighbor and rob his house if nobody would catch you? Of course not. We evolved to care for each other. We don't always behave this manner though, which is why I will come to point 2. Point 2. Laws and government. The government ensures that personal boundaries are created and that other people's property and lives are safe from others. This is what stops people from robbing.
I don't know, you have not been able to convince me.
Not convince me, you convince me why it is wrong.
I'm not claiming anything here.
I'm telling I am a robber, I am intelligent. According to you, robbing is good or bad?
I'm sorry we are going into a debate. I don't think we need this.
Is robbing
you just
good?
Answer my question.
Is robbing good or bad according to you?
He's right. He's not obligated to argue anything. You're the one claiming that Islam prevents robbery. If you want to discuss atheism, then of course that's a totally different conversation. But he didn't come here making claims. You did.
Bad.
So you say it is bad without reason, that means you're an illogical person.
Thank you very much.
You said you cannot, you don't have to convince me. That means you're saying things which you don't have to convince anyone, things which are not logical. So if I give an answer, wait, I'm going to give an answer. Again you say you're not convinced. What am I going to do? If a person doesn't know maths, I'm saying 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. I'm not convinced. What I'm going to do? So the problem is you have to be educated from starting, from the scratch. Time doesn't permit in question answer time to educate you from the scratch.
Zakir is saying it's illogical to think robbery is bad without being able to explain it. Look, Mr. Naik, not everybody is an expert in philosophy or has studied ethics. You are claiming to be the expert, not him. He's simply asking you to explain the law of apostasy, and you started questioning him in return. If you want an answer, robbery is bad for a very simple reason. The golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. That simple. No need to make it more complicated.
You may have got...
Can I ask you one specific question?
No, you cannot.
Fine.
You have to go behind the queue and wait for your time. Right? I have to yet answer your question on apostasy. Apostasy and apostasy. As far as apostasy, a person who is a Muslim and becomes a non-Muslim. In Islam, there are many cases, it doesn't mean death penalty. It's not death penalty. There were cases in which Sahabas, when the Prophet told that this person who was a Muslim became a non-Muslim, kill him. So one of the Sahaba says, he's my relative, let him go. The Prophet agreed.
You know what the most hilarious thing is? This example. This example is hilarious. Why is it so hilarious? Why didn't he mention the specifics? Who was this man? Well, his name was Abdullah ibn Abi Sar. And what's the story? Let's read it. Ibn al-Athir writes, he converted to Islam before the conquest of Mecca and immigrated to the Prophet. He used to record the revelation for the Prophet before he apostatized and went back to Mecca. Then he told the Quraysh, I used to orient Muhammad wherever I willed. He dictated to me, all-powerful, all-wise, and I would suggest all-knowing, all-wise. So he would say, yes, it's all the same. So the claim he made is that he used to make a suggestion to Muhammad. Instead of saying Al-Aziz Al-Hakim, he would say As-Sami'ul Alim, or one of the other names of Allah, to end one of the verses of the Quran. And Muhammad agreed with him. So he apostatized. That's his background. Now, what's the story about Muhammad not killing him? So Abdullah was a foster brother of Uthman. Yes, that famous Uthman that spent so much money on financing Muhammad's jihads that he was promised paradise. So Muhammad needed Uthman badly, and Uthman didn't want his foster brother killed. Look what happened. Abdullah hid in the house of Uthman, and when the Messenger of Allah called the people to give the oath of allegiance, he brought him and made him stand in front of the Prophet. Uthman said, O Messenger of Allah, accept the allegiance of Abdullah. Muhammad raised his head and looked at him 3 times, refusing the allegiance each time. Then finally he accepted the allegiance after 3 times. Then he turned to his companions and said, wasn't there any sensible man among you who would get up when he saw me refusing to give him my hand and kill him? They said, we didn't know, Messenger of Allah, what was in your heart. Why didn't you gesture to us with your eyes? He said, it's not befitting for the Prophet that his eyes be deceitful. This is in Nasai. So, well, Zakir Naik. So Muhammad actually really wanted him killed, and he wished they would have killed him. But because of his need of Uthman, he accepted his intercession, and he was still angry about it. What kind of example is this that you're bringing? A very bad one for sure.
So it's compulsory death penalty is not there, but if the person who reverts, who was a Muslim, then converts to and becomes a non-Muslim and propagates his faith and speaks against Islam, and if it's an Islamic rule, then the person should be put to death. But just because a person who is a Muslim becomes a non-Muslim, death penalty is not the ruling. But if a person in the Islamic state of law, which follows Quran and Sunnah, follows Quran, constitution should be Quran, not Muslim state, Islamic state. There's a difference between a Muslim state and Islamic state. Muslim state means majority are Muslims. Islamic state means people follow Islam. So Maldives is a Muslim state, not Islamic state. You know that? Maldives is a Muslim country. It's a Muslim country. If you were in an Islamic country, if you were in the Islamic country, you would have been questioned. You have a freedom of expression, but freedom of expression is limited. It's limited. As I told you, I don't know of any country in the world which is 100% Islamic. I know countries which are 100% Muslim but not 100% Islamic. So in Islam, if a Muslim becomes a non-Muslim, it is not death penalty unless he propagates his new religion and speaks against Islam. If he speaks against Islam, in most of the countries, for example, if suppose an army general or a person working in the army of American government or Indian government, if he sells the secrets of the country to the enemy, most of the countries there's punishment of death. There's punishment for death because he's selling the secrets. So similarly in Islam, death penalty if you speak against the religion and propagate against the religion, and if you are living in Islamic state, it will be death penalty. Just for conversion, it is not.
I have a simple point for you. Simple point. What if every religion had this law that you would be killed for leaving the religion, for preaching against it? How many famous Christian converts to Islam would have the death penalty on their head now? Hamza Yusuf, Suhaib Webb, Bilal Phillips, Yusuf Estes, and on and on. What kind of world would this be if everyone was killed? If nobody could have an opinion for or against a system of belief and say it? If everyone was forced into submission against their will? Why would the religion of truth need such measures? The truth should be clear from falsehood, as the Quran says, without the need for coercion. This is a rotten smell. This shows you that Islam is probably not the truth, because if it was, it wouldn't need violence and intimidation to defend itself from competing ideas, as they say in the sports arena. Are you ready? Shake hands, let's have a fair fight, and may the best man win. Not through intimidation and violence, but through the war of ideas.
My advice to you, brother, is that you read it with reason and logic. If you are stubborn, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, I don't want to believe in. What can you do? You cannot do anything. So the problem is that I request you to read the translation of the Quran. You read the translation. Which translation did you read, brother?
Maldivian and English.
Who was the translator in English?
Pictal.
Pictal. I request you to read Abdullah Yusuf Ali.
I read some of that as well.
Have you read? No, read full translation along with commentary. And I want you to tell me what part of the Quran did you not agree with?
So he read 2 different translations, Pictal and a Maldivian one, and that wasn't enough for you? What makes you think if he reads a 3rd time now, Yusuf Ali, it's going to make a difference? Pictal is a well-respected translator and quite similar to Yusuf Ali's. It's not going to make a difference if he reads it again, now for the 3rd time with a different translator.
First of all, I have to find reason to read the Quran, to believe in a religion first.
First you have to find reason to believe, and then you will read.
Then I have to study all the religions and find out which is best for me.
That's right. But the thing is, that means if you want to eat food, you want to taste all the food, and then you will say which is the best food you have.
Yeah, over your lifetime.
Do you eat food daily? Do you eat food daily?
More than once.
Yes. Have you tasted all the food in the world?
No.
That means you're an illogical person. So what you're talking about logic, I want to read all the religions and I did.
Will you eat all the foods? I don't know why Zakir Naik thinks this is such a clever response. Yes, if he was claiming this one food is the best food out of all the foods in the world, he would have to at least know of all the foods in the world, if not try them. That's what you're claiming about Islam. He's not claiming that he has the best food. This is incredibly dumb. What a moronic argument that everyone is clapping to.
There's no problem in that. You are eating food. The problem with you, brother, is that you are extra smart. Being smart is good. Being extra smart is not good. So that means you are changing your logic. If you have a particular fixed principles, it should always be the same. Why do you change your principles? For food, you are changing your principle. For religion, why are you changing? So you say you should read, you require a reason to read. Did you go to school? Did you go to school?
Do you need to ask?
I'm asking you, I don't know you, I'm meeting the first time.
Well, you're not allowing me to ask questions.
No, because you are allowed to ask one question. I'm giving the answer to your question. While giving the answer, I can ask a question.
Alright, yes, I did go to school.
So did you have a reason to read all the books? So when you went to school, you ask your teacher, okay, I have a reason to read this book. Quran, when you go to a doctor, when he gives you medicine, do you ask all the details? What is this medicine? Why are you giving me terramycin? Why this doctor is saying, get out from here? I am a doctor. If a patient asks me so many questions, little question is fine. He said, okay, you're extra smart. You think you're a doctor? You go and treat yourself. Quran says, Fas'alu ahli zikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse 43, Surah Anbiya chapter 21 verse number 7. If you don't know, ask the person who's an expert. When you went to school, what the teacher said, you agreed with the teacher. Certain times you can ask questions. You can't say, okay, first you prove to me, then I will read that book. That means your basic education is wrong. I think you have to go back to school, go to a good school, inshallah go to an Islamic international school, some school which will have your basis strong, then inshallah you'll believe that according to the Quran, Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse number 19, Inna Dina Indallah al-Islam, the only religion acceptable in the sight of Allah is Islam. And if you see Peace TV, I request you to see Peace TV. I have had debates with Christian missionaries, with Hindus, they are experts. Now when you see two experts talking, you can know which is better. You don't have to taste. Do you mean to say, okay, I want to taste poison, and then if I die, I won't have it.
Why should anyone consider Islam then? If you're saying studying other religions is like eating poison, what's the point of a Christian or a Hindu looking into Islam? Their pundits and preachers say the same thing. Why you want to study other religions? You want to eat poison? You should just be Christian or you should just be Hindu. Why do you want to be Muslim and eat poison? What Nazim was saying is that the burden of proof is on you to demonstrate the truth of Islam. And he has a point. There's so many religions out there with contradictory claims. The burden is on them to bring the evidence, not the other way around.
Some people learn from their mistake. Some people learn from other people's mistake. So if you keep on saying that in a jungle there are food, some are poisonous, some are not poisonous, you start testing. You ask an expert which is poisonous, which is not poisonous. So on the Peace TV you can see debates going on. Expert on Hinduism is talking to me, expert on Christianity is talking. Now you want to become an expert, you will take years. So when the experts are talking, you yourself can decide which is more logical, which is more worth following. I have had discussion with doctors and engineers and philosophers, top people in the world, not laymen. Not laymen. These people have got degrees, PhD, doctors of divinities, MD. And then if a logical person sees that, that's the reason, alhamdulillah, there are thousands of people who have watched Peace TV, who are non-Muslims, and they gave the Shahada after watching Peace TV. I hope that answers the question.
No.
Did he actually say no? You didn't answer the question? What a man. What balls. What courage. This is inspiring. Inspiring because all the way back in 2010, we have this man standing up in front of a huge crowd of Muslims in a country that's 100% Muslim officially and pushing back. And we have so many more lights now that are standing up and giving these scholars a run for their money. Literally a run for their money. Because their money depends on a continued indoctrination of the Muslim community. Let's continue giving them a run for their money. Let's fight back. Join my channel below by clicking join now. Or check out my support page for other ways you can join me. This is your friendly neighborhood ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir, signing out.